What's up, guys? Jordan McAbee here, fantasyracing.online.com, home of the Slingshot Fantasy Auto Contest. And it's Kansas with the Hollywood Casino 400. Hollywood casinos kind of suck, by the way. I'm more of an MGM guy. Closest ones to me, though, are Hollywood properties. I just don't like them. They're right, ain't good luck. Anyway, Kansas Speedway, mile-and-a-half track, another low-wear mile-and-a-half track. So what we're looking at this week is basically what we were looking at last week. So same data, same 550 horsepower package, low wear track. So we're looking at Charlotte, we're looking at Las Vegas, we're looking at the two Las Vegas races, the Charlotte race, and the Texas race, and I'm missing one. Oh, the first Kansas race. So if you remember back to that first Kansas race this year, Larson dominated it despite starting, in the lower quarter of the field. Ended up dominating it. Late cautions kind of ruined it. It all comes down to the restarts. You should know this by now. And Denny Hamlin was on the way to win it. He got scared of Larson in his rear view and hit the wall, brought out caution, which brought out another caution, which brought out another caution. Eventually, Larson and Blaney ended up halfway spinning, and they finished out. Kyle Busch won the race. But at the same time, Larson was the best car of that race, and he's on the pole this week for Sunday's Hollywood Casino 400. So taking a look at the starting lineup, we got Larson on the pole. We got Blaney, Keselowski second and third, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott top five. Some place differential plays. We're looking at Byron at 9th. Reddick in 12th isn't bad. Harvick in 11th could be a decent play. A little further back, we got Chastain starting 24th. We talked about him last week and how he's not good in this package and he's not good at low wear tracks, but he could pull it off. I think he pulled off like a top 10 here last time. Alex Bowman, who sometimes has surprising runs, starting back in 25th. Bubba Wallace, 27th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 28th. Newman, 31st. Priest, 32nd. And then Parker Kligerman's in the 96 Gaunt Brothers car this week, starting dead last because of the qualifying procedure. So definitely the safest option in the field when it comes to the slingshot game this week is Kligerman. Starting dead last, he can't score negative points. With that being said, I think his upside is probably about 25th. So is he a great pick? No. Is he a safe pick? Yes. But this time of year, you want the highest potential scoring from your drivers. You don't really need to play it safe right now. We're in the final 3 races of the season. It's time to just go and try to get max points and finish as best as you can. When it comes to the algorithm this week, it's got Larson first, Hamlin second, Kyle Busch third. Like I said, it's just like last week. Like there's the only thing that can happen after last week's race is if you overreact to how Texas played out. And we talked about this on Stacking Denny's, the podcast this week. Rotodoc and I did. We talked about, Gibbs wasn't good at Texas. Penske was better than expected at Texas. Will that happen again here at Kansas? I don't think so. Rotodoc didn't think so, and we explained why in the podcast. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. I think it's going to be, it's going to be between Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Larson again here at Kansas on Sunday. Byron's going to be a contender. Blaney's going to be a contender. Chase Elliott's a little bit better here at Kansas than he is at tracks like Texas. But then, it's pretty much the same. Everyone has the same upside this week as they did last week, and the same downside. And we know who's good at these tracks. The main takeaway from Stacking Denny's was don't overreact to what we saw at Texas last week. First, it was a crazy race. When BJ McLeod finishes 23rd, no offense to him, it's a crazy race. But two, it wasn't fully representative of what we've seen this season, except for Larson absolutely dominating it. So just keep that in mind when making your picks this week. It's a lot of the same drivers. And, if you were confident in your picks last week, you should be confident in your picks this week and maybe just tweak a little bit depending on starting lineups. So taking a look at the data this week, this is the 550 horsepower package now, including the Texas data. Best average finish, Kyle Busch at 4.1, Kyle Larson at 6.4, Hamlin 7.8, Byron 7.9, Blaney 8.8, Harvick 8.9. It's the same guys, same exact guys. Average running position, Kyle Larson blowing everybody out of the water. He's at 4.4. William Byron's at 7.0. Kyle Busch at 7.2. Hamlin 7.6. Blaney 9.7. Same guys. Same exact guys. 5 low-wear tracks or 5 low-wear races this year. We got 2 from Vegas. We got Charlotte. We got Kansas, and we got Texas. That's 5 races. Best average finish, Kyle Busch, 3.6. Keselowski, 5.4. He's been really strong on these low-wear tracks this year. Chase Elliott, 5.8. Kyle Larson, 6.4. I will note he's won 3 of them. 3 wins, 2 dud finishes, but not his fault. Gives him the average finish of 6.4. It's a relatively small data sample here, so Larson is definitely the best car, is what I'm getting at. Hamlin, 7.0. Byron, 8.2. Harvick, 9.2. Blaney, 10.0. Average running position, Larson again blows everybody out of the water at 3.1. William Byron, 6.2. Kyle Busch, 6.6. Hamlin, 6.9. Chase Elliott, 7.8. And you can go from there. When it comes to lineup construction this week with the Slingshot game, I will note I don't hate the idea of kind of targeting more in this middle range here. Guys like Tyler Reddick. We saw Tyler Reddick. He was legitimately a top 5 car at Texas. We've also seen Reddick run that well overall in the low-wear tracks this year. So you take a look at Reddick at the low-wear tracks. He has the 8th best average running position at low-wear tracks this year. He has the 9th best average finish. So he finished 8th at Vegas. He finished 4th at, that's Byron. He finished 6th at Vegas 2. He finished 9th at Charlotte. He finished 7th at Kansas. He finished 9th at Texas. Reddick is a legitimate top 10 contender, maybe even top 5. So I don't hate him right here starting 12th. He has that upside to finish, top 5, top 10. Also, we talk about Alex Bowman. It's difficult to pass him up starting 25th, although his numbers are not great. I would consider Alex Bowman a really risky pick this week, but you can't ignore that upside with the Hendrick power. Finished 5th at Charlotte. Finished at Charlotte. Every other low-wear mile-and-a-half track race for Bowman, he's finished 18th or worse. So it's a lot of bad luck, but it's also just kind of Alex Bowman. That's just kind of how he is, and we have to get used to it. He did finish, 9th at Homestead this year. He finished 3rd at Atlanta. He won at Pocono. Looking at these are 550 horsepower races. You look at these numbers, the average finish of 21.0. This is low wear tracks. Let me switch over to 550. Alex Bowman, average finish of 13.2, average running position of 10.7. Those aren't bad numbers. I like Bowman a little bit more this week than I do last week, just because with how he finished last week, I think less people are going to like him and pick him. So it's kind of like, you go one way, I'm going to go the other. And that's kind of what I do occasionally, in this time of the fantasy year. Ross Chastain, he sucked again at Texas. He wasn't good before he got caught up in that wreck. His numbers are just not good in this 550 package. Average finish of 24.6, average running position of 22.9. You go to the low wear tracks, average finish of 25.0, average running position of 25.4. I will note that, so let's take a look at the May race here at Kansas. I think Chastain finished 14th. That's like his ceiling. Like, it's nowhere near a guarantee. So I'm still not on the Chastain train this week. Stenhouse, I think he can be a top 15 car if he doesn't wreck. He wrecked here last time, ended up finishing 34th. But Stenhouse can, if he doesn't wreck, it's always that big if, he can get up there in the mid-teens. $8,000 though is a little too pricey, I think. I think he's a relatively safe option, as weird as that sounds, starting 28th. There's a lot of upside there, but if I'm going to go with a risky or like a mid to lower tier driver, I'm just going to come down here to like a Ryan Preece or a Ryan Newman or someone, starting 31st, 32nd to clear out, or even Bubba Wallace starting 27th at 7,200. Even that would be even more less risky than Newman and Preece is. So let's throw Bubba Wallace on there, on this lineup quick. Starts 27th, similar upside, I think, to Stenhouse. I think they can both run top 15. So with this, you have $33,600 left for your last 3 drivers. Ryan Blaney, obviously he can run top 5. He did it at Texas. We've seen him do it several times this year. Ryan Blaney was 5th at Vegas 2. He was 5th in the first Vegas race. Ended up 6th at Texas. He can and he was running top 5 pretty much all day here in this Kansas race before that late restart issue. Blaney typically runs really well at Kansas. I think he's a good value pick at 10,900, but starting second, there's a ton of risks there. Plus the fact that his history here at Kansas, he just doesn't quite get the finishes. He does have some top 7 finishes, but a lot of these races are not. It's like he almost falls off. I think a lot of it's not due to stuff out of his control, but finishing top 3, top 4, and all of these stages, and only having 1 or 2 top 5s to show for it is, it's concerning. But he's racing for his championship hopes, his playoff life this week. I think Blaney's a solid top 5 car. I really do. And if you want to go with a risky pick that's under 11,000, despite him starting second, I think Blaney's a good play. So let's throw Blaney on there. Gives us 22,700 for the last 2 spots. This is where it gets interesting on what you want to do. So, you can throw a Byron on there. Starts 9th. Obviously has top 5 upside. Leaves you 11,200. You could go with Logano. I don't hate that. He starts 8th. He hasn't been good in this package, but I feel like Penske is just running better in these playoffs. And, the majority of the races that we've seen in low wear mile and a halves were well before the playoffs started. The only one that wasn't was Vegas 2, and Logano finished 11th. He was running top 5, top 8 for most of the day at Vegas, at Texas. Like I said, do not overreact to Texas results. But if you're going with a lineup like this, I really don't hate rolling the dice with Logano, starting 8th. I think he can get stage points. I think he can finish. He can sneak in a top 5 on maybe a lucky final restart. I don't particularly hate it, but like I said, let's jump down and grab how far do you want to go down here? If you want to go down to Anthony Alfredo at 61, that allows you then to get Kyle Busch starting 4th, Chase Elliott starting 5th. See, that's where it gets tough because Alfredo's probably about a 26th place car. If Kyle Busch wins, that'll play off. Or is it better to go Bubba Wallace and someone like a Joey Logano or Ryan Newman and Harvick or something like that? And that's if you're doing the rest of the build like this. If you're not and you're not going Reddick and you're going, Stenhouse or something. Personally, I'd rather have Reddick than Stenhouse, but this would leave you, if you wanted to go, let's say you wanted Larson, that'd leave you enough to get Newman, but honestly, I'd go Hamlin and then go Bubba. So you're going 2 top 15 maybe cars to go with these guys. That's just tough. And if you jumped off of Blaney and went to Reddick, let's do this. Let's go down to, I'm just throwing on Anthony Alfredo because $100 off, of course. You could do something like that. We're right back to where we started at, aren't we? 10,800, which would be, Keselowski over. See, and I don't like Haley enough to do that to get Blaney. But yeah, I think there's a ton of value here in this mid range. This is kind of the build that I would go after. That I'm probably gonna end up going after is something like, honestly, probably something like this, like a Kyle Busch, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Anthony Alfredo. It's probably where I'm going to end up. I don't think I trust Bowman enough to do it. I'd rather go with, an equally risky pick, in my opinion, in Blaney, but a lot more upside with Blaney there starting second. So, yeah, I think it's going to be another fun week to to make lineups. You can go a lot of different ways with this. Like, you can go the safe way and go in Parker Kligerman. You could come up here and grab someone like a Bubba Wallace or, Chase Briscoe even. Like, he showed good speed last week. He's shown decent speed at these 1.5 miles this year. He could be a top 15 car. But overall, I think a build like this is what I'm going to personally end up on, is something like a Kyle Busch, Byron, Blaney, Reddick, getting 4 legitimate top 5 contenders into the lineup, and then just hoping that something like Alfredo doesn't crash. I don't think you need to go down here to the punts, the Wares, the McLeods, or anything. I definitely wouldn't pick McLeod starting 26th. I don't think you need to dig that deep, but if you did want to, I basically right now, the difference in what I'm looking at or what I'm thinking about is Byron, Logano, Blaney, Reddick, Wallace, or Kyle Busch, Byron, Blaney, Reddick, Alfredo. And that's, I think it's pretty equal. There's a lot of different ways you can go and yeah, but that's same guys as last week. We know who's good here, and then we just got to hope that there's not a bunch of craziness, which we've seen at quite a few 1.5 miles over the years, but at the same time, or over the last 2 years, I should say. But at the same time, like, Kyle Larson should be the favorite, and he's still a very good pick, I think, this week. Even though he's starting first, he can win both stages. He can lead the most laps. Those are worth points in this game. I don't hate Kyle Larson at all. Pretty much all the playoff drivers are pretty solid, and yeah. So hopefully you learned something in this video. Like I said, it's a lot of the same stuff as last week. Nothing has really changed my mind on who's going to be good and who's going to be slow. Will we see some surprises on Sunday at Kansas? Probably. It just happens every time. I will note, I saw a tweet earlier today that rain might be an issue, and we might be looking at a night race on Sunday. If that happens, I tend to I think that favors Joe Gibbs Racing a little bit. I think they're a little bit faster at night. So keep that in mind. I'm filming this on Wednesday. So, keep that in mind when it comes to, as the week progresses, as we get into the weekend, what the weather looks like and what we're looking at. But for the most part, we know who's fast at these tracks, and hopefully it's an incident-free race. So good luck with your picks, and I'll talk to you next week when we're at Martinsville for the second last race of the season. So good luck. See ya.